What if I told you that most people are walking around with a brain they barely know how to use? While everyone else is scrolling mindlessly, reacting emotionally, and making the same mistakes on repeat, there's a small group, maybe 10% of people, who've cracked the code. They think differently. They see patterns others miss. They make better decisions faster. And here's the thing, it's not about IQ. It's not about where you went to school. It's about knowing a few simple psychological principles that completely change how you process information. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you 7 mental tools that'll put you ahead of almost everyone you know. Stay until the end because number 7 is the one most people never figure out, and it's a total game changer. Let's get into it. Trick 1. Inversion thinking. Most people only think forward. How do I succeed? What should I do? But smart people, they think backward. Instead of asking, how do I get promoted? Ask, what would guarantee I never get promoted? Instead of, how do I build a great relationship? Ask, what would destroy this relationship in 6 months? Your brain is wired to avoid threats better than it pursues rewards. When you identify what not to do, you eliminate stupid mistakes before they happen. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, built a fortune using this exact principle. He said, "Tell me where I'm going to die so I never go there." Say you want to start a business. Most people brainstorm ideas. Smart people list what kills businesses. No market research, running out of cash, hiring the wrong people. Avoid those and you're already ahead of 90% of startups. Before making any big decision this week, flip the question. What would guarantee the worst outcome? Then don't do that. It's stupidly simple, but most people never think this way. Trick 2. The 5-second rule. Your brain has a built-in kill switch for your ambitions. It's called hesitation. You know that moment when you almost speak up in a meeting, almost text that person, almost start that project, and then you don't? That's not laziness. That's your brain protecting you from discomfort. When you have an instinct to act, count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then move, physically, before your brain can talk you out of it. Psychologist Mel Robbins discovered that your prefrontal cortex takes about 5 seconds to kill any impulse that feels risky. By counting down and moving, you interrupt that pattern. You're hacking your own nervous system. You're in a meeting, you have an idea, but you think, maybe it's dumb. 5 seconds pass. Silence. Someone else says it 5 minutes later and gets credit. That's the hesitation reflex robbing you. But if you'd counted 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and just spoken, you'd have trained your brain that action beats overthinking. This week, use the 5-second rule on one uncomfortable action. Reaching out to someone, raising your hand, starting that thing you've been putting off. Count down. Move. Watch what happens. Trick 3. Second-order thinking. Most people stop thinking at level 1. I want this, I'll do that, done. But life doesn't work in straight lines. They play the whole movie, not just the opening scene. Psychologists call this temporal discounting. We overvalue immediate rewards and ignore future consequences. Second-order thinking forces you to see the ripple effects. Elon Musk doesn't just ask, can we build electric cars? He asks, and then what? Do we have battery supply? And then what? Do we need to build our own factories? He thinks 3 moves ahead. You get a job offer with a 20% raise but longer hours. Most people take it. Money now feels good. Second-order thinker asks, and then what? I'm exhausted. And then what? My relationships suffer. And then what? I burn out in a year. Suddenly, the decision looks different. For your next big decision, ask, and then what? 3 times in a row. Force yourself to see the second and third consequences. You'll avoid traps that catch everyone else. Trick 4. The Feynman Technique. Here's a brutal truth. Most people confuse familiarity with understanding. You've heard of compound interest, right? But could you explain it to a 10-year-old without buzzwords? Pick a concept, explain it out loud like you're teaching a child. Every time you get stuck or use jargon, you've found a gap in your knowledge. Go back, relearn that part, then try again. Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman used this to master quantum mechanics. When you simplify, you're forced to understand at a foundational level. You can't hide behind big words. This is how you move from memorizing to actually knowing. Someone asks you about cryptocurrency. You say, it's decentralized blockchain technology utilizing cryptographic protocols. You sound smart, but you've explained nothing. A Feynman approach: imagine a notebook everyone can write in, but no one can erase. That's the basic idea. Now you and they actually understand. Pick one thing you claim to understand: a concept from your job, a strategy, a skill. Explain it out loud to an imaginary 12-year-old. Record yourself if you have to. You'll be shocked how many gaps you find. Trick 5. The 80-20 rule. This might be the most powerful pattern in existence. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. But here's what most people miss. That means 80% of what you do barely matters. Look at your to-do list. Ask, which of these tasks will actually move the needle? Most people spend their day checking boxes. Smart people spend their day on the 20% that creates 80% of the value. It's called the Pareto principle, and it shows up everywhere. 20% of your clients generate 80% of revenue. 20% of your wardrobe gets worn 80% of the time. 20% of your friendships provide 80% of your support. Your brain loves being busy, but being busy isn't the same as being effective. A salesperson makes 50 calls a day. Sounds productive. But if they analyzed it, they'd find 10 of those calls, 20%, generate almost all their deals. A smarter move: triple down on those high-value calls. Cut the rest. Same hours, 3x the results. Audit your last week. What 20% of your activities created the most value? What 80% was just motion without progress? Ruthlessly cut or delegate the 80%. Double down on the 20%. This alone will put you ahead of almost everyone. Trick 6. Mental models. Your brain is like a smartphone. Most people are running one app, their personal experience. But smart people, they've installed a whole toolkit of different ways to think. A mental model is a framework for understanding how something works: supply and demand, opportunity cost, confirmation bias. Each one is a lens. The more lenses you have, the clearer you see reality. Charlie Munger again. He credits his success to having 80 to 100 mental models in his head. When he looks at a problem, he runs it through multiple frameworks: psychology, economics, biology, physics. This is how you spot what others miss. You're deciding whether to start a side hustle. One lens: will this make money? Economics. Another lens: do I have time? Opportunity cost. Another: will I still want this in 6 months? Psychology of motivation. One lens gives you a guess. 3 lenses give you clarity. Learn one new mental model a week. Read summaries, watch explainer videos. Inversion, second-order thinking, the 80-20 rule, those are already 3 you've learned today. In 6 months, you'll have 25 plus frameworks. You'll think in ways most people can't even imagine. Trick 7. Metacognition. Here's the big one: the pattern that separates the top 10% from everyone else. Most people are trapped inside their own heads. They think their thoughts, but they never observe their thoughts. They're the player, but they're never the coach. Metacognition is thinking about your thinking. It's stepping outside yourself and asking, why did I just react that way? What assumption am I making? What cognitive bias might be fooling me right now? When you can observe your own mind, you stop being controlled by it. You catch yourself making emotional decisions and pause. You notice when you're being defensive, when you're confirmation biasing, when you're overthinking. It's like having a superpower. You can debug your own brain in real time. You get critical feedback and your first instinct is to defend yourself. Most people just react. Someone with metacognition notices the reaction and thinks, interesting, I'm getting defensive. Why? Is this feedback actually wrong, or does it just hurt my ego? That pause changes everything. At the end of each day this week, spend 2 minutes asking, what did I do well mentally today? Where did my thinking break down? What pattern did I notice? You're not judging yourself, you're studying yourself. In a month, you'll think more clearly than 90% of people around you. Let's lock this in. You just learned 7 tools that most people will never use. Inversion thinking. Ask what guarantees failure. The 5-second rule. Interrupt hesitation. Second order thinking. Always ask, and then what? The Feynman Technique. Explain it simply or you don't know it. The 80-20 rule. Focus on the vital few. Mental models. Build your thinking toolkit. Metacognition. Observe how you think. Here's the truth. Knowing this stuff means nothing if you don't use it. So pick one of these this week. Just one. Apply it. Watch what changes. If this made you think differently, smash that like button, drop a comment telling me which tool you're using first, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'm breaking down the psychology of high performance every single week. Remember, you're not competing with everyone. You're competing with the person you were yesterday. Think better, decide better, live better. I'll see you in the next one.